The Puma Deviate Nitro 2 was one of my favorite shoes for fast running. Is the Puma Deviate Nitro 3 an upgrade? Let's get right into it. So starting out with the outsole of the Puma Deviate Nitro 3, we have a full-length Puma Grip outsole, which is kind of standard and the same as last year's model, the Puma Deviate Nitro 2. And the traction was phenomenal. Puma Grip as well as Adidas Continental rubber outsoles, in my experience, have been amazing. Again, I live in California, so I'm mostly running on the road in dry weather conditions, but they have some of the best outsoles in terms of durability and grip on the market. Yeah, it's really on the top of the food chain in my opinion. So that's no different in the Puma Deviate Nitro 3. The outsole was gripping the asphalt like nobody's business. It performed fantastic. Again, I was only running on the road in dry weather conditions, but performed excellent. As for durability, I have around 25 miles in the shoe, and honestly, I can't really see any wear on the outsole. In my old pair, the Puma Deviate Nitro 2, I felt that the durability on that pair was extraordinary as well. So Puma Grip just gets an A+ from me, and that's no different in the Nitro 3. Moving on to the midsole and cushioning of the Puma Deviate Nitro 3. This is where I start to get a little bit of mixed feelings. Last year's model was known to be a very fast tempo trainer, daily trainer type. For me personally, I didn't think that that shoe had enough cushion to go past, you know, maybe a 10K. For me, I'm a bigger runner. I'm about 195 pounds and I'm 6'1". Whereas the Puma Deviate Nitro 3, they added a couple millimeters of extra stack height this year, and it has pretty much the same setup, just with a higher stack height. And overall, the cushioning felt very responsive as it did last year, but this year I could notice a little bit more cushioning in the forefoot as well as the heel. It felt soft, similar to last year's model, but there just felt like there was a little bit more foam in between my foot as well as the carbon plate or plastic plate that they put in the shoe. And I would say that the foam is on the softer side and more impact absorbent side, and the carbon plate or the power plate that Puma puts in the shoe is what gives it that responsive feel. So if that makes sense, the foam is on the softer side and you're gonna get that rigidity and responsiveness from the carbon plate, and that's what I felt in the Puma Deviate Nitro 3. So the cushioning was very comfortable, and I thought that it was phenomenal in faster runs, which is I think what the shoe is designed for. But moving on to the stability of the cushioning, that's where I felt that maybe it lacked for me personally. I did feel that the cushioning, since they increased the stack height, it wasn't as stable as I felt as last year's model. That's the reason I loved last year's model so much, and maybe I wasn't able to run as far in last year's model, was that it felt a little bit lower to the ground, and I didn't feel as much softness, but I did feel the plate a lot in last year's model, whereas in this model, I feel that foam plus the plate. I think a lot of people are going to like this setup, especially if you have better running form than I am, or maybe are lighter than I am. For me personally, on those longer runs, I like a little bit more of a stable foam. If you prefer a little bit more of a stable feel in your neutral running shoes, this might not be the best option, but if you like a soft yet responsive ride, you're gonna really enjoy these Puma Deviate Nitro 3s, especially if you're running really fast for a very long time. Now, let's move on to the upper of the Puma Deviate Nitro 3. So they did revamp the upper. They're still calling it an engineered mesh. In my opinion, it feels a little bit more premium than an engineered mesh. It feels like a knitted upper, which is what I personally really like in running shoes. So I would say that Puma did a fantastic job with this upper. It feels really soft and it's very breathable. If you do the light test, you can see the light shining through, and while I was running, I was able to feel the wind through my toes. So that brings me to my next point of the upper, the fit. So as we all know, or as most of us know, Puma running shoes tend to run a little bit narrow, and that's no different with the Puma Deviate Nitro 3. Someone like me with wide Shrek feet would probably not prefer this type of fit. It is a more snug and race-like fit. And I would say that even with it being a little bit more on the narrow side, it still does run true to size. It's just going to be a little bit more snug in the toe box if you have a wide foot. If you have a normal foot to a narrow foot, you should be fine going true to size. As for the lockdown of the shoe, the toe box felt really nice for me. I personally like snug toe boxes and just a snug fit in my running shoes in general, and I did go true to size. The midfoot lockdown was good, but the heel lockdown was where it kind of fell apart for me. And it was a little bit interesting because I only had heel slippage on one shoe, which was my right shoe, the one that I'm holding right now, and I couldn't get good heel lockdown. Now, I did try multiple lacing techniques, including the runner's loop, and I still wasn't able to get that secure heel lockdown that I love in running shoes, which is why with this shoe, I found it a little bit hard to go farther than 10 miles because my knees would start to hurt. I would feel a little bit unstable in the shoe, but I'm not gonna knock that against Puma because this might not be the right shoe for me personally, but I could see a lot of people loving this shoe that are going on faster and longer runs than maybe I am, as long as you can get a proper heel lockdown and the right fit for your foot. Touching on the feel of these Pumas, I would say that they feel fast. As I said in the cushioning section, they are soft. The foam is soft, but that power plate that they put in the shoe is what gives it that really bouncy feel and that responsiveness when you're running. So I did notice that I liked to run fast in this shoe. I did notice that I would run a little bit faster in this shoe, whether I liked it or not. So if you do like running fast, this shoe is gonna be for you. It felt pretty light on my feet and the transitions felt smooth throughout my running strides. That's how the shoes felt on my feet while I was running. So overall, I think that the Puma Deviate Nitro 3 is a fantastic running shoe. It is a fantastic running shoe, but I say that with a caveat because the shoe is personally not for me due to that heel lockdown that I couldn't get on the right foot, as well as the instability that I felt in the midsole, but that is just my personal preference. I can see the masses loving this shoe just because of that very comfortable foam in the midsole, as well as the Puma grip, and the upper feels super premium. And priced at $160, they did not raise the price from last year's model. So I think that this would be a phenomenal option for those speedier days or those longer run days where you need a little bit extra of a push with that carbon plate, or I'm not exactly sure if it's carbon, but they call it the power plate. It is going to give you that responsiveness as well as that soft feel with the Nitro foam. I would say to try these on in store if possible, just because, you know, Pumas do tend to run a little bit more narrow, but if you go true to size, you should be fine. I just personally couldn't get that lockdown on the right shoe. That's gonna pretty much wrap up my review of the Puma Deviate Nitro 3. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I personally really love the look of this shoe, and I'm a little bit sad that I'm not able to run in this shoe as much as I would like to, just due to that instability for me as well as the fit. With that being said, I still think it's a fantastic shoe, and for $160, I do think that that is a fair price. It's pretty standard throughout the whole running shoe catalog that it's priced fairly with a plate, and it gives you a lot of nice premium foam. At $160, it is a lot of money, but I do think that it is comparable to a lot of similar shoes on the market. So if you do like Puma, you're gonna love this shoe. I would just keep in mind that the little bit of instability that you might get, as well as the heel lockdown, to make sure to try on the shoe if you can. That's gonna pretty much wrap my review up of the Puma Deviate Nitro 3. Let me know in the comment section down below if you are planning to wear this shoe, if you have worn this shoe, and let me know your thoughts down below. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video.